He threw a human being through a window in a bar. Hey, whoa, we've got to be careful because she showed her boob. Now we can't say boob for a while. Sports talk, I split up 2 fights. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was awesome. He ripped it apart. He's like, who the are you? And I was like, yeah, always nice to meet a fan. Honestly, it was the most freeing moment ever for me when it came to public speaking because no one cares. Oh, there you go. Uh-huh. All right, now it's official.
Now we're live.
There it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's guest is co-host of the award-winning radio show.
I guess so.
Kelly and Wood.
Yes.
Morning show on Wild Country 99. Mm-hmm. How is that? Are you up at like 2 a.m.?
My alarm goes off at 3:15 every day. And it's not too bad. I mean, everyone, it's tough the first couple of times you do it, for sure. But you get used to it. And when I first started doing it, I will tell you straight up, I napped every day. And that's the worst. It's the worst. I am now crazy anti-nap because if you take a nap, you're screwed.
You reset your whole day.
Yeah, dude. Like if you take a nap, even if it's like a 90-minuter, right? Like they say like all these sleep nerds and stuff tell you like 90 minutes is like a good thing. If you take a 90-minute nap, you will be cooked when you try to go to bed that night. So I power through. Through. Oh, yeah, dude. Like, I'll get up.
Are you a big caffeine guy?
A little bit. I mean, I drink a lot of diet soda, but not as much. So I don't drink coffee. And I am one of the rare people in radio that will not drink coffee because everyone drinks it.
Yeah.
And I don't do that. I don't do energy drinks, none of that stuff, man. I flat out will go to war in the mornings, get it done. Yeah, I love the schedule, man. I would not trade it for anything else.
Do you think that, like, being in the radio industry has changed your relationship with entertainment in general? Like, do you think you see entertainment or talk shows or, I guess, just anything on social media differently being on that side of it?
I mean, yeah. I mean, once you get on the inside of anything, things look different. Mm-hmm. I think and I'm obviously not on the same level of any of these people, but you think, like, when you see, like, say Steve Harvey, right? You see Steve Harvey on TV and you think, what an easy job. That dude shows up, somebody fixes his hair.
Yeah.
Shows up, somebody lays out his clothes.
He just got to be funny. That's it.
But you don't understand, like, how much work somebody like that puts into their product on a daily basis. So, like, that is something that changes it for me because, you know, I grew up as I still am a massive sports fan. You don't see, like, you get to see Patrick Mahomes on Sunday, right? Well, he's really good. Well, yeah, because that dude busts his ass Monday through Saturday too, of film, practice, getting everything together. You just get to see the Sunday of it, of him rolling out there, throwing the pigskin around. And it's the same way for everything else. Like Tom Cruise or whatever. So, I mean, granted, we're in definitely a much smaller scale of it all. But yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, you get caught up in seeing the final product for so much of this stuff. And then you don't realize how much actual work goes into it. So like if someone listens in the morning on the radio and they hear something, yeah, like we worked hard on that. And, you know, a lot of it's obviously made up on the spot, you know, it's you know,
right.
The natural interaction of it all. So, but, you know, like most of the time we'll know what's going to happen about something. Like we'll have somebody that's going to join the show. Well, we know, we don't know exactly what they want, but it's a good idea of what you're coming on. You know, oh, my boyfriend is cheating on me or whatever. Okay, well, let's figure it out together on air because if we knew everything ahead of time, that'd suck.
Right.
I mean, yeah. So and plus the person on the phone can change their story too.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, wait a second, you told me on the email that it was this. So it's just like, hey, what's going on? Tell us and we'll all learn this together. So
yeah, I think for me personally, being just involved with social media and working for places doing social media, I now, whenever I see a product or anything that people are like, this is the best. I always think like, oh, you're being paid to say that.
Probably.
You know? It's like there in what world do you have a big following and you're just promoting this product for free? I feel like that just rarely happens.
Yeah, you do get a little cynical on things.
Yeah,
you
right,
know?
right. And I've
that
met
sucks.
a lot of people too that are like in the industry that have a big following that, you know, have people approach them and say like, hey, you should wear my shirt. And they're like, okay, well, how much are you paying me? You know?
But so like in that aspect, that's fair. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
that's part of their job.
Right. If your neighbor's a plumber and your crapper goes on the fridge, you don't go over and bang on his door and say, hey, you want to throw me a freebie and fix the dump? You know? So that is their job. That's their craft. Pay them for it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. So, well, what's the big deal? Just wear it. Well, okay. Well, you just throw something on there, and then all of a sudden you find out, oh, by the way, that company was run by, white power extremists. That's a problem,
Yeah.
So you've got to figure out, like, where's that line of, like, who do you, support, or who do you, because people will see, even if, let's say, throw out a movie star, like Matt Damon. He comes out of the grocery store and he's drinking a bottle of water. Well, you see that he just bought a bottle of water. You think, oh, Matt Damon likes X,
he's endorsed
Y, Z.
by Aquafina.
Right,
Yeah.
And it becomes like that double-edged sword of, well, everything you do is kind of attached to that stuff. Like you saw all those celebrities that got caught up in that Bitcoin stuff and the cryptocurrency thing. Like Matt Damon was telling me to buy cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Right. Well,
I couldn't believe that. I saw an ad on Instagram and I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah, Tom Brady.
This is crazy.
Now, I don't know why you think Tom Brady and Matt Damon should be giving you financial advice, but what the hell, right? They got
An
paid.
actor and a football superstar?
Right.
Who else am I going to trust if not them?
Who walks into their base like, hey, Matt Damon told me to change it all up, so I'm here to do it. No offense, you kind of deserve to lose your money.
Let's empty that 401k because Tom Brady said so.
All right, and you know what? Tom Brady can go to hell, but
And now people are in prison because of that.
yeah, but not them,
Not them.
and not the big dude either.
Yeah, so does that ever happen in radio? Like, do individual personalities get like sort of brand deals or like ad integrations, or is it all through the network when it comes to advertising?
It can be different. Like I've had clients that have been like, hey, we would like Wood to do this. Okay. Well, I mean, there's been some that I've been like, nah. And the reason is because I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Or I don't agree with it.
Yeah, that's a huge thing because a lot of people will just take the money and
Yeah.
not even know what the product is,
Right.
Or never even used it or whatever the case. And so I do agree. I think that's very important. But now we're coming into this age of like social media is just become such a big thing, and people that have following outside of what they do for work. And it gets to be a weird place when they're a personality for work themselves too.
Yeah.
I would imagine, because then like if you have a big following, let's say like on Instagram, and then someone asks you to do something and that brand doesn't align with the core values of who you work for,
Bingo.
then that could be a huge problem.
Yeah.
And I think that nowadays we're running into that a lot more just because social media is huge and people are willing to pay whatever to get their brand out in front of thousands of people.
And it becomes a problem because, well, what matters to you more? That momentary hit of what XYZ dollars, or the long-term benefit of, hey, you're probably better off. Like you've seen a ton of, and I kind of go to athletes with this, right? There's certain athletes that will get out there and sell whatever. God love them. I love Shaquille O'Neal. Have you seen the random shit that Shaq will try to sell you?
Amazing.
Dude, he's got like pizza ovens. He's
General
on
car insurance.
right. Icy
Shoes,
Hot.
you name it.
Icy
Hot, Subway.
That dude will sell you anything, and that's fine. But on the flip side, there are certain athletes that are like crazy limited in what they'll do. And to me, if I see that person doing that, then I'm like, all right, that's actually a lot cooler. Like that matters more to me. Now, I'm not hating on Shaq because let's be real, money's money.
Right.
And it's not as if Shaq has, again, I'm not getting talked into anything because Shaq is selling. Like I wasn't like, oh shit, honey, we got to cancel Geico.
We got to switch.
We're going to the General because Shaq says so, But it's that whole idea of, oh, there is some like notoriety because Shaq's on it, but it's lessened because Shaq's on everything.
Right.
Like Derek Jeter, right? Like Derek Jeter doesn't do anything. Then all of a sudden he popped up in that car commercial where he's driving home for some reason because he can't fly in a storm to his family, right? And I thought to myself, I was like, damn, like I think it's like, but here's the other thing. I don't even know what that car is. I don't know if it's a Lincoln. I don't know if it's a Ford. Don't care. But I knew that was Jeter in it, and that was like, whoa, shit, that's Jeter.
Yeah, there is definitely some people that would be persuaded because they put their cosign on it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I'm sure that's got to move the needle in some specific areas, especially some of these social media personalities that have such a core following. Mm-hmm. It's like these people will buy whatever they put in front of them, you know?
And we have seen, and again, and this is like, when I say we, I'm saying like as an industry, that the personalities have a higher, I don't know what the proper words for it are, but a score of believability with customers. So if you're tuning in every day, and let's say you're listening to a podcast like you guys, right? You're listening to them every day, and then you say, hey guys, this is something I really, truly like. People are going to be so much more likely to go for that product versus a regular commercial or just maybe someone that they don't have that interaction with. So like Joe Rogan, right?
Yeah.
Joe Rogan tells you to go buy this brand of cigar. They're going to get a massive bump because Joe Rogan told you, right?
100%.
So there is that brand loyalty to that personality, but it's not just a simple roll out of bed. You've got to put in the work as that personality to become A, likable. I mean, right? I mean, no one's going to buy it from a knob they don't like.
Right.
And then B, the believability of, like, if I came on air and I was like, hey, what's up? It's Wood. I'm here to talk to you today about pantyhose. No one's buying it, right? But if I came on there and talked about, like a sports betting website or something like that, that carries weight. So, and that...
Are you trying to get a deal right now?
Hey, whoa, wait. I mean, it's still illegal in this state, but if you, and that's the thing you have to do, and like you get it, as a content creator, like what fits me, what fits us, what fits the show, what fits your company too, because I've gotten in trouble before from my owner. God love him, great dude. Because I talked before on air that I gamble. It's illegal in the state of Minnesota, right? And I've also talked before about partaking in marijuana in states where it's legal, in case the government's listening. That's okay, that's cool, but that's still an SEC violation. That could be because it's federally illegal and you're still regulated on the radio by the FCC.
Interesting.
And so, I mean, I can go down to my local store and buy weed, but if I say something about it on the radio, I could get fired, we could get fined, everyone could go to jail, that kind of thing. Now, they don't really care about it that much to that level, but there are those things that you talk about of that line blurring of, if I went online, I was like, hey, what's up? It's Wood. Go to, XYZ Sportsbook. Have a great time. And then we could get in trouble for it. So it's, especially when it comes to like the broadcasting aspect, there are so many of these rules and regulations that are in there that you got to be wary of. And that's not even counting, I got an owner to answer to, right?
Right. I
got a dude whose name is on the building and on the company. And if I go out there and act a fool, man, that's not a good look for him. He's got to go to his church. He's got to go to his people. And it's like, hey, do you have this idiot on air who's doing this? That's not a good look for anybody. So it's one of those things that you kind of got to weigh the pros and cons of it all.
Right. And also like the self-image of like, of just being true to yourself from what you're also promoting, because these people that are following you, if they suspect or they smell out that that's not a genuine thing, then that's going to turn them off of you, not just the product that you're selling. Right.
Well, and it's also if you send them a bad product.
Right.
Like if you send, like I've, a tattoo shop and they go in there and they get treated poorly and it's a bad tattoo and everything, like, well, not only that tattoo shop lose credibility, you did. You told me this place was good. You told me this place was great. It sucked, man. Right. So the next time I tell you something's great, that's not good.
Yeah. So when it comes to like building a community of people who you can serve those kind of things to, like, what do you think first off, how long have you guys been doing the show, you and Kelly?
Together, we've just been doing it about 5.5 years.
Wow. Okay. So now you guys have a good following. We went to Winstock. We went to We Fest with you guys. And there's a lot of people that would come up to you and, you guys had all these inside bits that we had no idea what was going on. We don't get your radio station here. So
That's all right. You can listen
I'd never
online.
listened to it until we had found out that we could listen to it online. That's the only time that we had listened to it. And to the back and on YouTube.
Yep.
But other than that, there's all these inside bits. So like, when you're trying to grow a community like that, like if you could give us some advice for this podcast, like how do you build an audience like that, like what you guys have?
First of all, you guys have got the big part down. Like the social media, like the easiest way to grow any sort of content is through social media. It truly is. And you've seen like the ones out there that you're like, yo, this thing sucks. But they've got a huge reach, right?
Right.
Because they figured out the social media aspect. Now, I'm not saying that about you. I'm saying that about a lot of them out there. I will say, and this is my personal belief, this is what I have found, is just being honest and real with people. There is no bigger tool to becoming good at something than admitting that you suck at something.
Right.
And I mean that is in the fact that if you can tell people like, hey, I'm not good at this, but I'll try it. I talk about it all the time. I'm not a great parent. I try like hell. You know what I mean? I try good. And I'm 95% sure my son won't end up in prison long term and my daughter's not going to be a stripper.
Long term, yeah.
Right. Those are my two goals. And that everyone's going through that same question. Everybody who is a first-time parent has that thought in the back of their mind. Is like, am I any good at this? Probably not, Right. And looking back on it with even my parents, man, there was a lot of things that they just, I don't know, let's just give it a whirl, right?
Yeah, 100%. I was actually thinking about that. So
Right.
we just had a kid in January.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's been so many instances where I'm like, oh, damn, like now that I think back on it, like there's some things that were a little bit questionable that my parents were doing when I was growing up.
Riding around smoking in the car. The windows are barely cracked and no seatbelts.
Drinking,
You're jumping from the back seat of the station wagon around. And dude, I thought my parents were, and they were great parents. But there's just so much of that, where you those people on social media. And, not to dump on, but like the Kardashians, right? No one looks that good. No one looks that good 24 hours a day, or no one's life is that perfect. Everyone goes through crap at some point in time.
Yeah.
Own it. And when you share that, you get such a better connection with people of like, for instance, Charles Barkley, right? I love Charles Barkley.
Terrible golf swing, great guy.
Right. And you go back in the 80s, what was his big catchphrase? I'm not a role model. Like, he was the bad boy. He threw a human being through a window in a bar, right?
I did not know that.
Oh, dude, this is like a famous story. So he was like, I think he was still with the Philadelphia 76ers. And he got into an argument with some guy at a bar and threw the dude through a plate glass window and got asked about it. And he's like, yeah, the dude was a complete a-hole. And, it's like, oh my God, Charles Barkley also, after he retired, got a DUI. I don't know if you've ever heard this story.
No, I haven't.
So Charles Barkley was cooking on some back road, got pulled over by a cop, and he was drinking. And the cop's like, dude, what are you doing? And he said, I got to go see this girl. He's like, dude, you're Charles Barkley. He's like, she gives the world's greatest head. I've got to get there. And he got a DUI trying to go catch a Hummer. And think about that. We're talking about a dude who has thrown somebody through a window, got a DUI, and is talking about going out there doing all this. But why do people love Charles Barkley? Because he will tell you flat out, straight up, what he's thinking.
He's a normal dude.
Exactly it.
Right.
Like the city of San Antonio hates Charles Barkley. Do you know why? Because he told San Antonio, all your chicks are fat and ugly. Right? And I've never been to San Antonio, but
don't let him know that you're a Charles Barkley fan.
But that's the thing. Like, Charles was just straight up honest. And he said, look, all y'all women are fat and ugly. and everyone loved it. And it's that air of, especially in today's world, of just saying what you think. Right. And I'm not telling you I'm right. I'm not telling you I'm wrong. I'm telling you what I think and how I think it. No one does that.
So now when you're when you're trying to keep this in mind, when you guys are doing specifically your radio show, there's obviously a fine line between what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. How do you, well, obviously you've been doing it for so long, it's probably just like you don't even have to think about it.
Right.
How do you stop yourself from crossing these lines?
Are we talking like swearing?
Well, I guess swearing's a whole other thing in of itself.
Yeah.
But I guess, yeah.
I get asked that a lot, like, because I swear a lot, and I'm doing my best not to swear here. But I always tell people it's the same way you don't swear around your mom.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Like you're in the other room with you're playing Nintendo or whatever with your boys when you're a little kid, and you're like, oh, you suck, bitch this, that, and then your mom walks in like, yo, what's up, ma? Yeah, I'll take some snacks. It's having that, but on the greater scale of like not saying anything offensive. We're not a political show. Like everyone, there was a huge movement. I'd probably say about 5 years ago in radio, where it was, you have to talk about things. You have to talk about social issues. You have to,
stay relevant.
And I remember I was talking with, and I'm not going to use the guy's name, but he's an incredibly smart consultant, and he was brilliant. I mean, this dude is really good. And we went out to a dinner one night, and because we went to like a morning show boot camp, and there was a bunch of people, and he's like, let me take all y'all out. And there was probably like 8 of us. And there was some school shooting or something like that happened the day before. And he's like, let's just do an exercise here. What would you guys do? And he went around the room, and I was the last one, I remember. And he went around the room, and everyone's talking about like, oh, we just open up the phone lines and let everyone kind of get this off their chest. And, just boom, boom, boom. Everyone's like, oh, talk about, gun rights and all this. And he gets to me, he's like, what would you do? I was like, dude, I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't talk about it at all. And do you thought I would have gotten up and taken a dump in the middle of this table?
Everyone was just appalled.
Recoil. Like, how could you not? How could you not? And I told him, I was like, look, every single one of y'all going on the radio every morning and telling everyone what to think, how to think, what to believe in. Y'all don't know what anyone else is going through in their car. Like, you don't know if somebody was the daughter of a police captain or the daughter or, the sister of somebody who did get shot in a school. I don't know. And it sounds terrible, but like, I don't care about that. I'm here to have a fun time, entertain you, and go. Trust me, you want to talk about that? There's 19 million other radio stations every morning that'll talk about it. And the morning of, I know this is kind of sad, but it was like the latest school shooting. I think it was Sandy Hook, the one down in Texas.
Okay.
And we started the show. I was like, look, let's just get it out of the way. It was terrible. We're parents. Kelly's a parent. I'm a parent. There's nothing sadder than hearing about kids getting shot. I said, if you guys want to listen to a radio show to talk about that, there's other options. I said, if you just want to turn on the radio and turn your brain off for a little bit and just laugh, we're your spot. And I can't tell you, man, we got tons of texts right away, people saying thank you, because you get beaten over the head with it. You can't watch TV without getting talked to about social issues. Sports are finally starting to wise up, thinking, maybe we don't jam this down everyone's throat at every single turn, And so like when you get down to like you talk about, being a content creator, like, look, I'm not smart enough to tell you about gun rights. I know what I believe.
Right.
And that's fine. You believe what you believe. If you want to talk about, strippers and stuff, like we got you, you know what I mean? Like, we're your guy.
That's so rare, because it seems like more often than not, a lot of people with a voice, just like, it's not like, this is my opinion, now what's yours?
Right.
It's just like, this is my opinion, and if this isn't your opinion, then it's wrong.
You're a commie. It's like, well,
you're a commie.
Okay, well, or I just don't, I don't want to put my time and energy into that, and it's, the whole silence is violence and all that. Because again, those people at that table that night were just saying, like, you have to. This is your job as a broadcaster. Like, no, it's not. Like, no, it's not.
It's not.
It's the same way. It's not the point guard of the Knicks job to tell me about this or that. Like, cool. Like, maybe you've been through stuff. That's fine. But dude, you missed 7 shots and we didn't cover. Like, get it together. Like, that's what I care about.
Yeah. Tell me what gym shorts that I need to buy, not, how to base my political views.
And if there's people that want to get into that, go for it. But I'm just, in my opinion, and what I have seen is you will turn off more people than you will turn on with that.
Right. Now, when it comes to just kind of letting it fly and also being okay with other people's opinions, there is a certain point where it's like, okay, like maybe you should tone it down just a little bit, because I would imagine, like, especially with radio, you ever get people that like hop on when you open up the phone lines to come on air and they just say some super out of pocket shit?
So because of that, we don't take phone calls live.
Oh.
Now, some shows will, and there is a thing called a dump button.
I was going to ask you about that. It deletes the last however many seconds?
So, like, as soon as you turn it on, it will slow down the broadcast. So, like, if I counted to 10, like, on air, it would go 11 seconds. And they would just slowly start to build that up till it has like 15-second delay. So now all of a sudden, very slowly, you can't hear it. But unless there's a song on, you may hear that, why is this song just a little bit slower?
Yeah.
Because that delay is building back up, right? So then it gets that 15 seconds. And then if, Jack gets on there, he's like, boom, fuck her right in the pussy. Boom, you can hit it, dump that 5 seconds, cut the caller off, obviously, and you're good. And as a listener, you'll hear it'll kind of be weird, like all of a sudden, and then you'll just hear, all right, thanks for that, whatever. And if there's like a really good host, you won't even know that they were just there and then they're gone.
It,
right. All right, on to the, whatever. You see that a lot more with sports talk and talk shows because obviously those calls are live. So that's that. We don't even trust it. Like when we ask for like a phone call or something like that, we'll then play a song. And then we add that song to talk to people, record things, and then play it back. So there's a couple different ways that you can kind of do it, but taking phone calls live, that is dangerous.
I couldn't even imagine. That's all I could think about when I was preparing, getting ready for your interview here. And I was just thinking about like, imagine how many times someone has tried to get on air that are just ready to say something that is just super out of pocket.
You'll see it a lot in sports talk. Like if you've ever seen like Mike Francesca up in New York, he has people who literally will wait on hold for 2 hours just to get on there and just say something stupid. And okay, it's funny, but yeah, dude, that was 2 hours of your life. You just flushed down the can to get on there and ask Mike like who he would rather bang, right? It's like, is the juice really worth the squeeze on that? So it's just, if you have a show like Howard Stern, right? Like way back in the day when Howard was at his massive peak, he would play with those people. Like if you want to come on and be something stupid, you became a character on the show. So that was that. There's so few people that have those chops to take someone on air who's being a fool and make it good. There's just not it. Like it's just not worth it, And you trust me, you've heard people that have like thought they had the chops. Nah, you don't.
It's got to be a dangerous line too, because some of the stuff that they're saying you probably just can't have on air regardless.
No,
if it's funny or not, or if you're messing with them or whatever the case. In radio, it seems like there's a lot of like in-person marketing events and like promotions and things like that. Can you think of any times that like some of these promo events where like something crazy has happened?
Oh man, let's see. I mean, anytime. So with like a lot of those, you're going to somebody's business, right? So a business is hiring you to come out there and hopefully bring people by, which is cool, right? Mm-hmm. So you never want to go do something like hey, let's do something ridiculous here, because again, it goes back to the hey, you're trusting me with your business. I'm putting my name out here.
I didn't even think of that. Is that like a part of some of their advertising dollars that goes towards radio? Like that they do events at their business to bring people there? Oh my God, I didn't even put two and two together. That makes so much more sense.
Yeah. So, they'll pay you, and, there's a sliding scale for certain people, certain things, certain times, what you do out there. So that I don't get into all that nonsense. It's just like, yo, Wood, go to this. Cool. Got it.
Yeah.
And to me, that's more of an opportunity just to meet the people that listen.
Yeah.
And, all right, cool. I'll be, I'll be nice to the people I'm at their business for, of course. But my job is to get people there. I'm not trying to sell you a car.
Right.
Like I'm telling you there's a dope car here, but I ain't selling it.
Yeah. So there's always what comes to my mind is like there's always those like radio competitions that seem to always make the news where like the lady drowned from having to chug so much water on air at the live broadcast, and then I know like KDWB here did this thing like if you cut off the tip of your pinky that they would give you pink tickets. So like
brother,
stuff
I
like
ain't gonna
that.
lie to you. You could give me actual pink, and I'm not cutting off any part of my pinky for that. But like the We for We actually screwed a lot of people. So that was like the one you talked about. Like you had to drink like a certain amount of water, and then like the last person to go pee won a Wii. And that was like when the Wii was like the had to have it prize and toy of Christmas season.
It was crazy.
Right.
It was like sold so much that like you couldn't find it.
Right. And so the woman who like she literally like passed away doing this. And then all of a sudden it became down like right away. Boom. You can't. Radio always gets nailed the hardest in all this. So like when Janet Jackson whipped out her titty, right? Mm-hmm. We got in trouble.
Why?
Like, because it's radio, man. Like it's the FCC's like, well, we got to crack down on all this stuff. Well, what's live? It's not TV other than like a Super Bowl, right? What got nailed was radio because then it was, hey, whoa, we've got to be careful because she showed her boob. Now we can't say boob for a while, you know? And also we've got to walk the lines because of that boob. I still remember that boob. You know what I mean?
Oh, I remember it like it was yesterday.
Right. And it was that a boob? You know? I mean, that was
I couldn't believe it.
That was the moment everybody reached for that TiVo remote or DVR, whatever you had at the moment, and backed it up and was like, let me see that boob. And it wasn't even, no offense to Janet, it wasn't like a great boob, but you know, this whole like she didn't know. She bedazzled it.
Yeah.
No one gets up and bedazzles your boob unless you're going down to like New Orleans. You knew that bad boy was coming out.
A lot of conspiracy around if it was orchestrated or not.
Come on, man.
It had to have been.
You bedazzled your boob. You bedazzle your boob and you're not a stripper. That bad boy is coming out at some point in time. She was all about it. So don't even tell me that was a mistake. But so you go back to that. Yeah, man. Like radio always seems to be at like the front line of these things that just kind of just takes it right in the teeth.
Right.
Because I don't want to say low man on the totem pole, but there's so many more radio stations than TV stations and TV shows. Well, then let's clean this up. Let's start knocking down some of these people who are saying, and granted, you know, I'm not saying to go on air and say inappropriate stuff, but you'll be the one to get knocked first for sure.
Right. Is there any like weird rules that you didn't expect going into radio when it comes to like that?
No. So I started in radio on the backside of things. So I started as a intern at 790 The Zone, and I thought, my God, I am going to get into sports talk radio. Because I love sports talk radio. I love sports still to this day. The thing that turned me off on it, A, I wasn't an athlete. B, I wasn't like a journalist or anything like that. Like if you think about it, you go on to ESPN, right? Who's the talking heads? Athletes or journalists? Not some fat kid who just thinks he's pretty funny, right? This is not going to get there.
Yeah.
And so when I thought that was going to be it. So I learned the backside of radio really well at the start of it as an intern, as a producer, figuring out all these things. The biggest thing I kind of figured out is I hate interviews. And I hate interviews because people are never going to be honest in interviews with things like that, right? The wildest interview I ever saw was O.J. Simpson. So this was when I was at the 790 The Zone. O.J. obviously had his history. And the show that wanted to bring him on was like, nah, man, you know, they were blowing up at the time. They were starting to go national. Two good guys or two live stews. Both, the one was a professional athlete, used to be, and the other one was his brother. Good guys. They wanted to bring O.J. Simpson on. Now, it used to be you would have they called it like a handoff or a transition between shows. And if you ever listen to like talk radio, like coming up next, we have Cody, Cody, what you got coming on the show, right? And they come in studio. Oh, well, today we're going to be talking about, this game and that. And he says like, Lo, if you come in here and start the one host who was handing off to this next host with OJ said, don't talk about OJ. Don't talk about him on my show. That dude killed people. I don't want him on my show. Damn. None of that. And I kind of thought to myself when they kind of had this little passing interaction, I thought to myself, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem. And sure enough, they came in like, we got O.J. Simpson. And the host just goes, so you're going to ask him about how he cut his head off his wife? And I was like, whoa. Oh,
shit. Right on air, he says
this?
this?
Yeah. This was on air.
Oh, damn.
And I was just instantly like, this got real. And you could tell, like, This wasn't like a playful back and forth. This was, and they got heated. The sports talk, I split up 2 fights, and that one didn't get into like a fist fight. That one just got into it. I'll call that a
Donnybrook.
Yeah, not even. No, it was just more of a
kerfuffle.
Not an interaction, but I'd say like just a confrontation, right? Like it was just a confrontation. Like I got mad, you got mad. They went about it. I still remember when O.J. Simpson walked in because I was getting all my.
He was like in the studio.
Oh yeah, he was there in the building.
Oh damn!
This wasn't a phone call.
So all this is happening. Is he outside of the recording booth that they're in?
So this was like in Atlanta. This was like on the 15th floor of like this building. It was like the penthouse. So where everyone stayed, it was like the whatever green room, whatever you want to call it, was down the hall. So I don't know if the audio was playing in it or what, but I still remember I'm getting all my crap together. You know, the other producers and interns are coming in for that show, and here comes OJ down the hall, and I'm just like. That's like the one time in my life I was just like, because, I mean,
what do you say?
You killed your wife, right? Like, it's not often like you walk down a hall and you're passing a dude that you knew, probably, I should say, allegedly, I mean, get your, cover ourselves here, killed somebody. You know what I mean? And it was just, that was the one
and
interaction.
what year was this? Was this still pretty fresh at the time?
Yeah.
Oh,
this was 2000s.
Okay.
So this was before he went to jail for robbing them cats.
Damn.
Like this is back when he was still trying to do his tour of looking for Nicole's murderer and everything.
Oh my God.
Like he wasn't on Twitter like, hey, Twitterverse, whatever the hell he says now and all that. This was way back in the day. And that to me was the most surreal thing. And I learned that day, your show is your show. You do on your show what you want to do. I'll do what I want to do on my show. And that's a line you don't cross. And I've never crossed it ever since. So like if somebody's like, hey, we don't do this on my show, cool. This is your show. But on my show, if you come on there and start acting a fool and doing things on my show that we don't like, you got to go. So, and that's just a respect factor.
Yeah.
So it just, that one was wild. I'll never forget that
yeah,
one.
that's that would be heavy. That would be wild. So you were in the recording booth with them when it happened, or you were just like kind of in passing had heard this happen? Or
no. This was live on air. Their confrontation was live on air.
Oh.
They're like, hey, don't bring it up when you came in. It was in the hall in the break before he came in. So
wow.
I mean, when he told him that, I thought to myself, I was like, man, I hope they don't bring it up, but I knew he was. And that's when the Donnybrook happened. And it was like,
ooh.
I once had one of the hosts got into a fist fight with the update guy because he kept dunking on him for being overweight. And he's like, dude, you just got to stop doing that. And he kept calling him heavy and everything. And then he said something about, I'll throw you out the window. And he said, well, you going to get a crane up here to lift your fat ass. Now, this was off air. And so it was a commercial break. I'm kind of doing some things. And I remember the engineer who runs all the commercials and everything. In a bigger market, they have all specialized jobs. He goes, Wood, you may want to get in there. And I look up, and sure enough, both the dudes got each other by their shirts. They're shoving. There's a third host there who's just sitting there just watching the whole thing.
Not doing anything.
Whatever. And that world of sports talk is just different than music and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's weird.
The guys seem like they're way more passionate.
Well, and a lot of them are former athletes that are jacked up. And you see it on like, even like to get a glimpse of, like you see it like with Skip Bayless and some of his co-hosts sometimes. Like it's just almost like a disrespect that comes into some of that stuff. And it's, what do we do? Like you're talking sports, relax.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
I see it on like the Pat McAfee show, like some of their clips, like he'll be fired up. He's always standing up at the desk.
Yeah,
he'll start yelling at the people that are calling.
Put on some sleeves, Pat. What the hell? All right. But he's got his shtick figured out. Like he's got his character figured out in all of that. So sports talk is weird. And I was totally new to the music world. Like when I started on the morning show, I had no idea. Hell, I didn't even listen to country music when I got started on there. And it's definitely better. I love it versus sports talk is just, it's too much, man. It's the same stuff every day. And I can't do it.
You don't think that you could do that now?
The thing that sucked about it is sports was such a escape for me, right? Like I was delivering car parts. I was riding around, listening to the sports talk. And I thought to myself, I was like, I can do this. Like I can do this. But like going back to what we started at the very beginning of this, it's a job. And like we talked about Steve Harvey, right? Like all these people, you're going to work every day talking about sports and it's your job. Now it's a cool job. It's better than emptying, porta potties for a living, but it's a job. And there's a heaviness to it of every single day coming up with something to talk about and you almost resent it. And you ever see like those people that have been covering sports for their entire life and they're just old, bitter assholes?
Yeah.
There's a reason. It gets old having the same arguments, the same conversations all the time, man. And that's when I had an opportunity to maybe do something different. And I thought to myself, I was like, this is different every day. It is. You get to talk about your life. You get to talk about relationships. People bring you their issues, man. It's so much better than who's the best running back of all time? It's Jim Brown. It was Jim Brown 30 years ago. It's going to be Jim Brown 30 years from now. All right, guys? Good. There we go. There's our entire talk topic wrapped up into one. So it was definitely different for me, but I'm glad I did it because working in talk radio, in my opinion, is the hardest genre of radio to do. Like, you know what it's like.
Yeah.
Sit here with a microphone in your face and be compelling for 60 minutes.
Yeah.
That's hard, dude.
Well, and what a lot of people don't understand too is like it takes a lot of repetitions to get comfortable. I will say like the first 40 times that you're behind the microphone, I was scared. Like I couldn't. My mind would go blank. I just like couldn't think of anything to say. I would stutter. I'd get real nervous, and people underestimate that.
Yeah,
and see like, hey, you've put hundreds of thousands of reps into what you're doing. If someone wanted to start from square one and they say, I've always wanted to be a radio host or I've always wanted to do my own podcast, what would be your advice to start like from square one?
Do it.
Just start it. Just start recording yourself.
I know that sounds so silly, but think how many times you're just held back from just not doing something. Mm-hmm. Just do it. Just do it and then be open to feedback and check with as many people as you can, man. There was a break one time. I thought it was badass. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was awesome. So what did I do? I sent it off to Dave Ryan. And Dave Ryan is a guy that I've bounced a lot of things off of. If you don't know, he's down in the Twin Cities. Dude is an institution. Dude is going to be in the Hall of Fame, right? About as good as it gets. He ripped it apart.
Really? He's like, hey, listen, this is bad.
Well, he's just like, look, this isn't good in this form, right? He's like, there are good things in here, but what you sent me is not good. And guess what? He was right. He was right. And that's the other thing. You as a content creator, you have to remember, you're not creating content for yourself, right? You're creating content for other people. You can create content for yourself. That's dope, but you're going to get 3 views and 2 of them from your mama, right? I mean, that's just it, right?
Yeah, right.
You've got to be able to put out top tier stuff because it's going to have to, again, go back to the word broadcast. Get as many people in there as you can and then cast to that broad swath. And then you can figure out what you're good at. So honestly, if you're thinking about it, dude, a microphone, you can go to whatever. You can get it on Amazon, Best Buy, whatever. Cost you $30. Record it and play it back for somebody. Don't send them 30 minutes of you going, yeah. Put down your best 5 minutes. Work on it. Record it once. Listen back to it. Record it again. And just rep it, man. There's nothing you can beat than mic time. Mic time is the number one thing people need. And it's the thing that has killed radio is we stopped giving mic time to part-time people. We started giving mic time to weekenders, overnights, kids who want to try it, man.
Yeah.
We didn't. No, you're not good enough. Well, yeah, they're not good enough because they never had it. Like, go on there and do it. I guarantee you there are things that I have done on a radio that people will just go, wow, that sucked. And they were right. You know what I mean? But learn from it, get better at it. Just go and do it, man. And I'm telling you, you will look back if you stick to it and you really think you're good at it. Guess what? If you keep at it, you'll get good at it. And there's not a lot of people out there that can do it. And there's not a lot of people out there that are doing it.
No.
Everyone starts a podcast, right? Oh, this is my dope podcast, man. It's about beer and, whatever. And what do? They do 2 shows. No one cares.
Did you go back and listen to the beginning of this one or what?
No, but you know what I mean? It's that guy in his garage and he does it. Oh, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be badass. They upload it, and then they do 2 shows.
Yeah, I can't remember what the statistic was, but it was like 90% of podcasts don't make it past 10 episodes or something like that. I can't remember the exact number, but it was a huge amount.
And so, like, we started off podcasting our show every day. Like, we got feedback on it, and this was years ago when, because the big thinking in radio was don't podcast your show. If you podcast your show, people won't listen live. Your advertising dollars are crater. No one will want to be a part of that. Don't podcast your show. That's stupid. Give your content in as many ways as possible. Like you, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, you hit it in so many different ways because there's somebody out there that doesn't go on Facebook.
Right.
There's somebody out there that doesn't go on YouTube. There's somebody out there that doesn't listen to the radio, but then found the Kelly and Wood podcast. First time we started putting our podcast together, we were getting 30 listens a day. 30 a day. And it's like, that's a lot of work for 30 a day. You know what I mean? It's like, damn. Yeah. Well, then guess what? Then the next month it goes up to 35. Then it goes up to, so if it's quality content, man, now we're up near 1,000 downloads a day. And that I had a nurse tell me, she said, I work overnights. I can't listen to the radio in the morning. You have no idea how much I enjoy listening to your guys' podcast every day after I get off work. My job is hard. It's hard to go in there and see people die and deal with that. It's so nice to get in my car, put you guys on, and laugh on my way home. And when I walk into my house and get to be mom, I have that.
Right.
And I thought to myself, how silly was I to not give that person the content that they want? Like, it's just, it makes no sense. So just do it. Just do it. And, you know, if you're good at it, great. If you're not good at it, keep doing it, man. Just never stop.
Just get the reps in.
If you've ever gone back and listened to like some of the greatest people, like the first time Howard Stern, like if you ever watched the movie Private Parts, like he was awful when he got started. He was bad, but he was at night, he was on the weekends, and he got mic time, and he kept working at it, and he ended up being the greatest thing ever that happened to radio.
Huge.
And it's just that thing of just do it. And guess what? If you think this sucks, then don't play it for anybody. You know what I mean? Like just record it, listen to it. Everyone hates how their voice sounds. Don't worry. That's a normal thing. But just go ahead and rip it as many times as you can. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, I'm starting to figure it out.
Yeah, I think that the TikTok era of social media has discouraged people from practicing in private. You know, everything that I post needs to be everything that I do needs to be posted because I need to keep up with posting at least once a day, at least 2 times a day, 3 times a day, whatever the case is. Right. A lot of these people are doing, and I think some people just need to realize that it is okay to practice in private too. You can keep it to yourself.
Yeah,
you can keep doing it. You know, you don't first learn to play guitar. You learn 2 chords, and then you're all of a sudden booking shows.
Right. You know, Jimi Hendrix all of a sudden. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, no, I never really thought about it like that. I think that's great advice. That's solid.
And it's amazing. Think of Jimi Hendrix, right? Jimi Hendrix played the guitar wrong. He played it upside down. But
I didn't know that.
But yeah, but why? Because he taught himself, and he just did it. And then he became, an alien, at playing the guitar because no one sounded like him because he did it his way. Just go do it. Just go do whatever. And I don't care if it's content creation, if it's, packing up and moving across country, whatever it is, dude. Like if you want to go do something, go do it. And you'll be amazed. That'll put you so much farther ahead than 75% of the other people, because 75% of the people will say they want to do something and won't do shit about it. And guess what? Once you start doing something about it, you're already in the top 25%. You know what I mean? And right. then it's just a game of, are you good? Can you get better? Are you willing to listen to people tell you that something you think is great is shit? Like I did. Yeah. And then you revamp it and then, oh yeah, they're right. So listen to those people. And if you're talking about radio, man, if there's anybody who would love to get in radio, reach out to me, man. I would love to set some people up. We don't have enough people who want to go do it. There's a lot of people like, oh yeah, I want to come get on the radio. They show up for 2 days and it's like, no, this kind of sucks. Like, dude, well, yeah.
You got to put in the work too.
Right. Like I want to be a surgeon. I don't show up at the hospital with a scalpel and a gown, right? Like you got to go, you got to learn ways to do it. But the best part about it, the biggest part about it is just go and do it, man. Nike had it right, dude. Just do it. Just do it and see where it goes, man.
Get it done.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, shit. I think that's a great place to wrap this thing up. I think I'm fired up now. I have a whole new motivation in my body right now.
You know, I mean,
I'm ready to. I could go run a marathon right now. Honestly,
and honestly,
I've never been a runner, but now I want to do it.
Like, look at everything that you guys have built, like with your Halloween party, all that stuff. Like, that is, you are in the upper, like, 1% of people that have tried to do this. Like, that is awesome. And what you guys do
I appreciate that.
Is awesome. And it's real. Like, that is awesome to do because it's hard, you know? And like me saying, go do it doesn't mean it's easy. You are going to fail so many times. I have been told no so many times, man. So many times. I've gotten told no. I can't even count. You shoot your stuff off to a radio station. Hey, I see you're hiring. You interested? No. Any reason? Nothing. Or they don't even say anything back. Like, the business sucks. It is hard.
I've heard that.
Oh, it is so hard. But the thing about it is that you only need one yes. You only need one yes, man. Right. And in today's day and age of like social media and stuff, you don't even have to get a yes from a radio station. You don't have to get a yes from a TV station. You don't even have to get a yes from anybody. Anybody can put up YouTube. Go do it.
Yeah, I haven't told many people this, but when we originally first started this podcast, I had reached out to, I'm going to guess upwards of 200 plus who I thought were just celebrities, influencers, just people that would really move the needle if we had them on the podcast. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even care what the topic was. I mean, it was just anything from athletes, celebrities, you name it. I sent a DM, just said, hey, my name is Cody. Me and my friends have this podcast. This is what we're all about. Here's a link to it. If you want to check it out, we'd love to have you on. If you're interested, let me know. We're willing to pay you. Just let me know how much it is, whatever. And the only person that responded was Miles, the You Betcha guy. And so, we have him on. 6 months to a year goes by, and they were actually hiring. So, because we had this interaction and we had him on the podcast, they reached out, and I ended up working for him for 9 months.
See?
And I learned, everything that I know about social media, content, anything. I feel like I got to give kudos to those guys because I just learned everything that I have there, or at least started. And I think, like you said, it's like most people would just not reach out and just say like, they get flooded with DMs all the time. Right. They're never going to respond. But just as simple as paying him to come on the podcast ended up being my work and for 9 months for him, and then ended up being this, really.
But how did it get started? By just you doing it, man. Like, and that's what it is. Like, you just went and did it. And then all of a sudden, when you had that opportunity, you jumped through that door. And that's what it comes down to, is just so many people are scared to be told no. Right. And I don't care if that's job, that's asking out the pretty girl at the bar, that's whatever in life, man. No. Okay. Who gives a shit?
What if they say no?
Right.
Then what?
Well, big deal, you know? She was ugly anyways. Once I got close, she's all cockeyed, That's what you go back and tell your boys, And it's taking that risk and having the ability to put yourself out there. Again, I'm telling you, man, 75% of people won't do it. They just flat out won't. They're scared. And hell, man, I was part of that 75%. I just kept getting told no. And I thought to myself, well, I'm not good. And, and that's where the self-doubt starts to creep in, especially when you get told no so many times. It's like, am I not good at it?
At a certain point, there's definitely that, especially in any position where you have people looking at you. I think it's really easy to default to that imposter syndrome. Like, I'm not good enough to be in this position. So, like, have you ever been faced with that where it's like, I don't know, maybe like you get some of the criticism. How do you work through that, I guess, yourself?
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, yeah, you get it. You got to remember, it doesn't matter. The people that truly matter in your life, you can probably count on two hands, right? And what I mean by that, there was a time at WeFest, right? WeFest, there's a bajillion people there, right? And we got set up to do some stage announcements. And it was going to be after Big and Rich, and we had to announce the name of a RV winner or something. Whatever, cool, whatever, let's do it. Now, introducing an artist is different than closing out an artist. It's a very different vibe in the crowd, right? You close down an artist, everyone's done. Like, especially if bringing on an artist, everyone's keyed up. They're ready for it. You just pretty much go out there. The people, oh, hey, how's it going, everybody? Shut the fuck up. Get them on. Like, let's go, right? You know, like, that's what it is. But afterwards, you have a little bit more time because, you know, the roadies are tearing things down, especially like those big concerts like that.
Yeah.
So we're sitting up there on stage because you got to get there early because they want to hit it quick. Big and Rich are up there, and they just smash it. All right? Like, I'm telling you, Big and Rich will destroy a crowd. I mean, that place was... front to back, the entire crowd was going nuts.
I heard they put on a hell of a show.
Oh my God. It was and to see from like where you see, like you understand why all these artists, I shouldn't say all of them, a lot of these artists get drug problems, right? There's no high
Right.
like being on stage and seeing all these people sing your song back to you going nuts. And I'm just, I mean, my jaw is on the floor. And they close it out and they're all like walking off stage one at a time as they're just playing it off. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh shit, there's like 80,000 people here and I'm about to go out there and talk and they're just ripping it up like this. You know, like you hear comedians all the time, like you never want to go out for a dude who just kills on a set, right? These dudes just killed this set and we got to go out there. So we go out there and there's this big steel drum, right? And it's like, oh, hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Kelly and Wood, you know, and there's one guy in the crowd is just hammered. He's like, who the fuck are you? And I'm just like, yeah, always nice to meet a fan, you know? I'm like, what do you want me to say? You know, I'm like, I'm Wood from the radio. I just told you, dude. And so whatever. Kelly's like trying to get the crowd hyped. He was just on one and he's just having a blast with it. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, just give me this name. We'll read this and we can be out of here. All right. Just, you know, this crowd just saw an awesome show. The last thing I want to do is see some fat white idiot up here. I am not playing with you, dude. This name, it was like Steve or Julie or whatever. This last name had 47 consonants in it. It was nothing but like J's and K's and S's and T's. And I was like, oh my God, I got to try to say this name. And, you know, he was like, all right, who's ready to win an RV? You know, the crowd's like, yeah. You know, even the people that didn't even sign up, you know, like I'm just like, all right. And I pulled it out and I was just like, you've got to be shitting me. And everyone's looking and I was just like, Julie Canstranavid Elastics, come to the front gate. And I mean, you could just tell everyone in the crowd probably just saying, that definitely wasn't the right name. You know, this guy's a dipshit. And so like moments like that, but here's the thing. And this is what like you asked, like dealing with that. No one cared. Like, yeah, all right, that drunk guy, who the hell are you? Everyone knows I can't read now. No one's going to remember this in 2 minutes. And I don't know if you remember this moment. And this is like the one moment that was like my aha moment of this. Because a lot of this is public speaking. You're just in a room public speaking. There was a moment. It was when iPhones came out with the facial recognition. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. And they had like those big the Apple unveiling parties. And this thing was being watched across the world by something like $1.2 million. And whoever it was who had their iPhone, it was like that Tim Cook guy or whatever. He's like, watch this. I'll show you how to unlock it with your face. And he holds it up to his face and it doesn't unlock. And he tried it like 4 times. He's like, well, I think maybe we're having a little bit of a software issue. This dude got up there and just shit all over the place because his product didn't work and no one cared. Like no. Right. And I thought to myself, imagine you get up on there in front of literally over 1 million people. It doesn't work and no one cared. So why would anyone care that I screwed up on the radio or I screwed up on stage? No one's going to. And honestly, it was the most freeing moment ever for me when it came to public speaking because no one cares. No one cares. And whether you're in your class with your friends or you got a school project, no one gives a shit. No one cares. Everyone just ring the bell. Let's get out of here. Let's go to lunch, right? Right. It's the same thing, if you have to give a work presentation. No one cares. Like there's maybe 4 people like really need the numbers. Just shoot them an email afterwards and we'll be done with this. No one cares. And once you kind of get into that mentality, all of a sudden you'll be amazed at how much, when you're relaxed, how much easier everything is. Because you're not like that, oh my God, I'm going to screw up. It's like, boom, give me the mic. Where is it at? What do I need to say? Like, whatever. Screw it. I'll make it up when I get out there, you know? You just walk out there. It's like, who wants to win an RV? You know? Just let it
Who's
rip.
got the hardest name? You win.
Nah, is there a Doug Stevens here? You win. And so it's just that moment of just, who cares, man? And it's just, and it was just, it like unlocked something for me because I say a lot of things on the radio. It's like, oh, you're not allowed to say that. Who cares? Who cares? Unless my boss comes in here, and it's nothing like, you say something like racist or something like that. Okay, then people care, right? But if you're just out there and you're like, no, that chick had a cross eye. I was out, Yeah, there may be like 3 cross-eye girls who are going to throw something at you, but they ain't going to hit you, right? You're going to hit the wall. You're fine, let her rip. So that was probably my biggest aha moment of it all, just being like, all right, I can do this because it doesn't matter at the end of the day,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Some people get stuck on the idea of everything they do at that particular moment is like a career-defining moment.
Yeah.
And you just got to realize it's just a small part of a bigger piece of whatever is going on.
And the bigger part of it is just be a approachable, good person. You'll be amazed at what people will forgive you for. I mean, and we see it all the time. Like going back to that Charles Barkley thing, man. Charles just seems like a good dude. Hey, he threw a dude through a play window. Got to hear both sides. Maybe he had a good reason to.
Both sides.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. Maybe he had it coming.
Maybe he's in the right.
Right. But if you're an ass, you'll get nailed for anything. Like,
Yes.
oh, I hate that person. Did you see how they just walked across the street? What a jackass, And it's so it all comes back to just being a good person when it comes down to things. And it makes such a difference on your life. Because I didn't used to be, dude. I used to get in fights all the time. I was a punk ass, man. And one day I just thought to myself, I was like, who am I benefiting? This isn't good for anybody, man.
Right.
Just be a good dude. And it changes your outlook on things, and it changes other people's outlook on you. And you'll be amazed at how much more leeway you have when you're just a good person. Just be a good dude.
100%.
Yeah.
I realized this also when I worked in retail for a little bit when I was in college. And I will say, if there was ever a person that just had a bad attitude and they needed me to do something and I had the ability to not do it, I'm 100% not going to do it.
Yeah.
Like, for example, a Karen comes in, say, I need to return this, and I want you to do it right now. 100% I am not returning that. Oh, ma'am, looks like it's outside of the period.
Yeah.
Sorry,
bitch.
not doing anything.
Not my problem.
Versely, someone comes in, hey, I'm really sorry. I got this as a gift. Is there any way that you could help me out? I really just want to exchange or return or whatever. Yes, absolutely. I don't care if that thing is 70 days past what your receipt says. I'm going to try to make it work. Yeah, so I 100% agree with you. Just at the end of the day, be a good person. And
you're right. And that goes for so many things, man. And you never know. And I know it's like one of those things you'll see on like a tumbler mug and all that. You never know what somebody else is going through. Like you don't know that person who's trying to return that is trying to return that to get money to go pay for food. Right. You don't know, man. So just
everyone's dealing with demons.
Right.
Yeah.
And
differently.
If you come in and act like an ass, be like, well, do you have this in the back? No, you didn't even look. I know. I know I didn't look. We could be sitting on a stack of 400 back there. I ain't getting it.
Right.
So yeah, it's it's one of those things. It's hard to teach.
100%.
And I'm trying to teach it with my kids too.
I did not plan on this being just an absolutely motivational hour to have you here.
Hey,
but I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you for taking the time to come to the huge town of Pine City and joining me here today.
This was awesome. I had a blast. I was looking forward to this all week, man, and it did not disappoint. You do a great job here.
I appreciate that.
Tell Sam that's messed up that he didn't show, but that's fine. Didn't need him anyways, right?
Didn't need him anyways. Thanks a lot, Sam. Is there anything that you wanna plug before we get out of here?
I guess just check out the Kellingwood podcast. It's wherever you get your podcasts from. It's just a radio show. It's two dudes.
Hell yeah.
Who just love.
Follow him on Instagram, Kellingwood.
Yeah, our Instagram is just little show clips. I don't know what the hell I'm doing on there. I need Cody's wisdom when it comes to social media.
We'll get that thing looking all right.
Yeah, just drop a meme. No, but
Hey, thanks for coming, man.
Appreciate it.